Well, hello, this is Peter Combs at Bidamount.com, BidamountLive.com, and P.O. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Today is March 4th, 2022. Sorry we couldn't do a video last week. As many of you know, I was in the hospital, and I had some surgery and got home feeling okay, and we're sort of going along with a plan from here, and we'll see how it goes. Any rate, lots happened in the last week and a half. Not the least of which is this mess in Ukraine. And keep that in your thoughts. And let's hope that sad little man in Russia can get kicked out of there sooner rather than later. The folks in Ukraine seem to be remarkably brave, steadfast, and hopefully they'll have the arms and supplies to do what they need to fend off the Russian soldiers. It's a terrible thing. I normally don't talk about politics, as you know, but this is sort of a big one. So I just want to mention that. And if you can do anything, send money, whatever, to a good aid organization, I would urge you to do it because they're going to need every bit of help they get. That's all there is to it. Okay. So what was going on in the world of Asian art last week? A lot. eBay had a number of good listings, did quite well, and some stuff popped up on the global member pages that we added a day or so ago that I wanted to go over quickly for those of you that use those pages. Let's take a look here. One of them is the Coronari sale in Belgium is coming up, and there's just one thing that's in there. It's a very nice Japanese blue and white Arita dragon's vase, Edo period. It's an old one, 1680s, 1690s, about 9 inches tall, 300 to 600 pound euro estimate. It's a very nice piece of porcelain. They've got a number of good Japanese things in there as well as Chinese, worth checking out. But the sale that really came up that got my attention was at Heineman's in Chicago. And we're going to be adding some more of the stuff to the global pages, but we started the other day because there was a number of items that have been deaccessioned from the collection of Margaret Strong, and this is tied to the Strong Museum and so forth. She was an Asian art collector, Japanese and Chinese, and there's a whole bunch of material. This is just some of it that she had collected. Some nice bronzes, some very nice bronzes. If you're a bronze buyer, you might want to check them out. And there's some very good Japanese material in here of all kinds. We're going to scroll through. This is some of the Chinese stuff that's on there. And on, I think it's this page. Hold on a second. Yeah, here it is. There's a whole bunch of very nice boxwood netskis. There's some very good inros, as you can see. And suba sets, multiple subas, and so forth. And then there's also a very nice a good number of groupings of Japanese writing implements. So if you're into that sort of thing, you want to check it out. Hold on, wait for the page to jump. And here they are. I guess at the end of the sale. A whole bunch of portable writing sets, Japanese, really nice looking groupings. Here's some that are in bone and ivory, it looks like, but beautiful workmanship and so forth. So if you're a Japanese buyer, do check that out. It's a very impressive grouping of things, especially for the Japanese buyer. The Chinese stuff is good, but the Japanese stuff looks a bit better to me. And there's also... this got thrown into the sale the day before. It's a 2-day sale at Heineman's. Is this very nice Ando Jubei applique jour enamel container. Beautifully done. Absolutely splendid. It's got a big estimate, but it's an authentic example by the artist and a rather complicated one. And we'll see how that does. It's got an estimate of $60,000 to $80,000. But a rare item, and if you collect Ando Jubei or you're a fan, you want to check that out. It's a very beautiful object. Also, there's some very charming large mixed metal chargers, this kind of thing in the 2-day sales. Ikebana baskets. There's a lot of Ikebana baskets on day one of this sale, and also In the rugs and carpets, we found that Rip& Boswell's over in Germany, which is Rip& Boswell's one of the oldest rug auction houses around. They've been in business for decades and decades and decades. They were big. Those of you that are into rugs remember them. They always had huge full-page ads in Holly magazine. And they've got a sale coming up with some very nice-looking carpets and textiles, including this very nice Tibetan saddle rug and some other things. This techie carpet. It's a beautiful techie carpet, 19th century example. Nicely done. Modest estimate, reasonable estimate, 2,500 to 3,000 euros. Here's a better shot of that Tibetan rug, saddle rug, nice old one, also 19th century, beautiful looking things. He says it's early 20th century. I don't know. It looks like a 19th century to me. He might be just being a little conservative, but he says early 20th century. But to me, some of the colors in here make me think it's maybe a bit older. But regardless, beautiful looking piece of saddle carpet. And so there's a number of things that have turned up that we were able to get caught up on the global pages this week. In particular, that Heinemann sale, the Coronari sale, and now you have the Rip & Boswell sale taking up. If you're a carpet rug buyer, you want to check that sale out. A lot of tribal weavings, tribal rugs, Turkish rugs, Kazakh carpets. As you can see here, some good material. Very attractive, some nice old baluch pieces, a stellar Qashqai bag. If you're a Central Persian buyer, this is a dazzling bag. And I think the estimate is very low, unless I'm missing something here. But this is a good-looking piece of Central Persian weaving by the Qashqai tribe. All right, beautiful example, very, very fine, and late 19th century. All righty. So check all those out if you're in there poking around on the weekend. Alrighty, and what's happened over at eBay this week, or last week? A number of good things went through there. One of them was this, a very attractive Kangshi period dish. This wasn't a big one. It was about 9 inches or so in diameter, but it's that classic with the central tree pattern and these splashes of flowers and so forth around the rim. Very good use of negative space, elegantly done. Had a couple of hairlines in it, but a beautiful example. The enamels were in good shape. And it ended up selling for $493 or 370 pounds, which is just about right for these. Ones when they're absolutely perfect and have no hairlines tend to bring 600 to 900, so 493 is about right. But what really did help it was the if you look at it carefully, you notice when you magnify it here, there wasn't a lot of wear. It had a couple of hairlines, but the enamels and the decoration were all in very nice condition, very intact. It was a nice looking piece of porcelain. Alrighty, and then moseying on over to this. I threw this in the newsletter because I like brush pots, as a lot of you know. And this was a very nice brush pot. And I was actually going to bid on this, but I was tied up, put it that way. At any rate, this was a nice one. It had some losses on one side up in here on it, but beautifully carved, early 19th century or late 18th century pot, lots of wear, lots of wormholes in it. You see all the wormholes? These are all wormholes because it's an old pot and it was probably stored someplace and got a little bug infestation, which doesn't bother me at all. It's a good sign, actually. It means it's been around for a while. If you own this, don't worry, I wouldn't worry about the worms. I'm sure they're long gone. If you ever get a piece of furniture, by the way, something small, wooden, you think that might have active worms in it, throw it in your freezer for about 3 weeks, and or 10 days to 3 weeks, and that'll get rid of it. That'll kill them. All right, just a little side. I knew a furniture guy in Maine, a very good antique shop up there, and they had a freezer. Big one, and they used to, whenever they had furniture brought in from England in Europe that they bought, they would put it in the freezer for a week or two to make sure there were no worms. Anyway, this was a beautiful looking brush pot. It really was. This was a good one. And other than that little loss, but the carving was very, very good, and the wood had a beautiful patina. This thing was allowed to age, and it got that beautiful dark patina. It could use a little cleanup, maybe with a Q-tip here and there, but overall, nice looking pot. Went for only $346. That was a very good buy. Big Larry had that. I thought that was a wonderful purchase. especially for, for under $600 or $800. And then this was up, and this was a nice looking late 18th, maybe early 19th century cinnabar carved lacquer bottle vase, but beautiful quality. The carving quality on this was really good, really exceptional. It wasn't marked, so that held the price down a bit, but it was good enough to have had a Qinlong mark on it, or a Jiaqing mark, had they put a mark on it. It was made during the late Qinlong, early Jiaqing period, and this would have merited a mark because the quality was so good all the way around. The seller said it had some sort of small area of restoration, but I for the life of me, I couldn't find it in the photographs. At any rate, there it is. You get an idea of the size of it. And it did well. It brought $4,139, which I think was reasonable. I don't think that was a crazy price. That was a beautiful piece of lacquer. Really, really nice. And then sliding over to the next lot was this. This was Joni's up in Canada, had this. A very good Kangshi period jar with the Kirin on it. Absolutely, right as rain. Nice looking decoration. Very, very tight, unusually tight decoration on this. Really tight, really strong cobalt color. This was a very much a top quality Kangshi jar all the way over. And it had a nice lid and stand, but beautiful. This is what really good Kangshi blue and white looks like. Pure white body, not too shiny in the glaze, and then this dense, thick, very strong royal blue. Beautiful color. And in the end, it did well. It ended up selling for $13,350. Not a crazy price, though, because this was an absolutely beautiful piece of blue and white. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And then moseying on over to here was this Japanese incense burner. The seller had listed it, I think, as Chinese or Japanese. It's Japanese, but very nicely done. Very nicely done with a good patina on it. Beautiful condition. Looked awfully nice all the way around. Good surface. There's a picture of the bottom of it. Lots of legit looking wear on the feet and so forth. Just looked very good all the way around. There it is for size. Ended up selling, I think, very reasonably. If one of you bought this, bravo. $301. And his shipping is always reasonable to the U.S. This is Jagarts Limited over in the UK. What was it, 30 pounds to ship it to the United States. But this was a heck of a nice little incense burner. Very nicely done. Either Edo or early Meiji period, probably late Edo period. He had listed as Qing. I don't know why, but at any rate, he was off on that. But nice looking bronze. And then over here to this was one of these inscribed cups. These are so collected. It's just absolutely amazing. 40 years ago, they weren't worth anything. This one had a Daoguan mark on it. It's possibly late Daoguan period. It's not imperial, but nice quality. All inscribed. There's the conch shell and the Buddhist wheel and so forth. And then, of course, this is the figures on these Wushuangpu items always depict figures and then inscriptions identifying who they are, and it comes from an old Tang Dynasty story, and they went through a big revival in this story. It became very, very popular in the 19th century, and they began doing these, and today they're heavily collected. 40 years ago, they weren't worth any more than a rose medallion cup. But people began to appreciate them because of the history, and now this one brought $1,093 just for one cup. So it shows you how things change. All right. And then over to this, a pair of Kangshi hookah bottle forms, probably made for the Indian or the Persian market. Nicely done. They turned up in Northern Europe, but good quality, beautifully decorated, and they ended up selling for $1,752. As I said, Kangshi, and they look to be in quite good shape overall. And this was the ceramics and collectibles, the Shangri-La guys, I call them, had these up. They were nice. 57 bids, nice looking pair of bottles. Because you see them sometimes, and you'll find one that's perfect, and then the second one's got a busted or repaired neck or some problem. And I didn't see anything wrong with either of these. They still had the nice even brown dressing on the rims, and the decoration is quite good. This was really, you know, a B plus to A decoration. Not as strong as the one that Joni sold, but these are right up there. These are very good. And then there was this, the pair of Famille Jaune with Famille Rose moon flasks. Always popular. We say it every time they come up. Lots of them were made during the second half of the 19th century, and in varying sizes from 7 or 8 inches tall all the way up to 18 or 19 inches tall. Always popular. They always sell well, and these were no exception. They ended up selling for $1,335 for the pair. And as I recall, these weren't enormous. Well, how big were these? Let's see here. Scroll down to it. Yeah, 10 inches tall. These were sort of small ones, but the colors were very nice, and they looked to be in quite good shape. So there you go, $1,334. Alrighty, and then onto this, the Kangshi compressed form teapot that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I just thought this was a wonderful little teapot. Beautifully done, unusual pattern, unusual form, and very much unusually small. It's only a couple of inches, a few inches tall. Ended up selling for $663. And what was this? It was 6.6 centimeters tall. So it's 2.5 centimeters to an inch. It was like a 2.5 inch tall teacup, like a miniature. Very unusual, and it did well. But I think that was if you're a Kangshi blue and white collector, that was sort of an interesting thing to try to buy. It would have been worth adding to any collection, I think. It's very nice. And then over to this. This was Juice 1499. Josh Chamberlain Antiques had a sale that ended. They had a bunch of jades. You can go look them up. They did quite well. And he had some porcelains and so forth. And he had this cobalt ground hot food pot. I liked it. I like hot food pots because they're useful. And if you have one, use it. Put food in it. Serve it. You know, they're meant to be used. And this was like flower pots. Put plants in them. Don't leave them sitting around like vases. And at any rate, this was a nice looking example, and looked to be in quite good shape, and ended up selling for $811. It was a 19th century example, but had a good look to it. Good crisp colors, good condition, still had its metal rings. The finials haven't been, you know, reattached or anything. It was all there. Nice looking thing. And he also had this rather nice, but it wasn't a big one, 10-inch Lung Quan Celadon dish, early 16th century, but very nicely done. Had some wear to the middle, but good color, and it ended up doing okay. It ended up bringing $890, all right, which is about right. The big money comes from the ones that are 13, 14, 15 inches in diameter. This was a smaller one, but very, very, very nice quality all the way over. Alrighty. And he also had this beautifully done Fitzhugh serving platter for the export market, but an orange Fitzhugh. An orange Fitzhugh is very desirable, especially when it's in this color, this quality of orange Fitzhugh. Very nice shading, very nicely decorated, lots of detail all the way around. I think there was one little nick or something up on one edge right here on the rim. There was one little boo-boo, but not bad. Here's the back of it. You can see the orange peel very nicely in the photos. And here's another shot of it. A little bit of wear up in here, tiny bit of wear maybe here and so forth, but overall good shape. Ended up selling for $760. If it hadn't had the little chip out of that corner right there, this plate probably would have brought $1,100 or $1,200. But Fitzhugh buyers, orange Fitzhugh buyers, are a pretty picky bunch. But this was a nice one. This was a nice one. It was good size. It was was it like 13 inches or something, 14 inches? No, it's huge. Oh, this was a big one, 19 inches across. Okay, but it absolutely brought 12 or 13. I thought it was a little smaller. Absolutely would have brought $1,200 had it not had that chip out of it. Too bad. But at any rate, beautiful colors, beautiful quality, and that's what you want. And then up in Canada again, they had this. They had a couple of these Kangshi period salts, open salts, and Kangshi open salts they do turn up. They're not like, they don't turn up anywhere near as often, of course, as the 18th century Qianlong examples and so forth, but they do turn up. They did make them early on. or, you know, early in the 18th century, toward the end of the Kangxi period, and they made things like this. Very nice quality. And this one did pretty well. It ended up selling for $500, which I think is okay. It wasn't a steal, but they didn't give it away. All right, and that's fine. And what else is going on? Oh, and they also sold this Yongchen period relief worked in a modeled teapot. And it didn't have the under tray. A lot of these came with an under tray that had the same sort of relief decoration when you see it. And they made a very nice set. And when they're complete and they have the under tray and in perfect condition, they can do very well. They could bring $2,000 or $3,000. The thing you always want to check on these when they have these little relief work stems, check them very, 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 very carefully for damage, because these areas are so prone to damage. They're very, very fragile, and it's really easy for them to get chipped and banged. And this was the grapes pattern. We've all seen the transitional period vases with the squirrels on grapevines and the leaves. Here it is done in relief, and here's the squirrel, and here are the grapes in different colors and the big grape leaves and so forth. Nicely done. All right, and what did it bring? $700, which is fine. A few years ago, it seems to me, we had one like this, and it had the tray, had the dish that went under it. I think it brought $2,200 because it was complete. And but $700 just for the pot is okay also. Okay, and we'll be loading up. We've loaded up the newsletter page for the week already. Got it done. It hadn't been done for a few days because I was unable to do it. And the newsletter page is, well, hold on, let it load up here. We're trying a new bit of software to load the page because the software we'd been using is getting a lot of annoyance from eBay. They don't, for some reason, are rejecting the links these days. So we're working on this until we can figure out what's going on. But the page came out fine. But if it looks a little different to you this week, that's why. We had to switch and use a different type of software until eBay can get its act together, if they ever can. Poor place. But at any rate, all the stuff's in there already. We'll add this video. Will be in there, of course, as well, and so forth. And next week, keep an eye on the site, and we're going to try to get the identification assistant thing started again next week. I need to get a little bit more rest and do some things, and then we'll start that up again over here. But for right now, we have to put it off just for a few more days. But thank you all for your patience on that. And that's about it for the week. I've been sort of out of it, so I don't have a lot to talk about other than what I've gone over. And I hope you're all well. And I missed getting my work done in the last couple of weeks. It's been difficult, but we're back. Okay, have a great weekend. It's sunny and wonderful here, and in spring is April 1st is just a few weeks away at this point, which is wonderful. And thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy the videos, as always, give us a thumbs up. Please leave comments. If I've forgotten anything this week, I apologize, but make a comment and remind me. And we'll be back next week, and we'll try to do a couple of videos next week. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.